Hey guys, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Welcome back. I am in my Guru Studio dungeon. I got a lot of plans for this studio next year, 2015. I've just got a lot of plans overall for 2015. I'm really feeling excited about it. Actually, I was just talking to one of my business partners the other day, and I was talking to him about how usually every year, I usually get tired around this time of the year and I can't wait for the vacations just because I've been doing so much and it's grueling, and I've really been on the grind basically this last decade. But this year, I don't feel that way. This year I feel like I've gained so much momentum from all that grueling work and grinding it out work that I actually don't feel like I need the vacation, but I'm going to take it anyways with the family. So we'll be traveling to Arizona and Mexico. Then we'll be back January 2015. Okay, so I'm taking the entire week of Christmas off, the entire week of New Year off. But fear not, the blog is going to be updated almost daily, with the exception of the holidays, because I don't think anyone will be watching. And tomorrow, this will be my second to last long video for the 2014 year. This is December 17th. Tomorrow, December 18th, I'll be bringing on regular guest Darshan Kulkarni. He's world famous guest. You guys have been really anxious and patiently waiting for his comeback on my blog. It's probably been about 6 months since he's been on. He's the attorney and the pharmacist who focuses a lot on clinical research. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about expectations for 2015 in the clinical research industry. And I'm really planning for a huge year next year. I mean, like I said, I've gained so much momentum this year. I feel like I'm getting new followers daily. I'm getting more YouTube subscribers. I'm getting more blog subscribers. I'm going to come out with a LinkedIn group very early next year. So I've got a lot going on at the Clinical Trials Guru, and I'll be looking forward to actually interacting with a lot of you guys and maybe running into some of you guys at industry functions and things like that. So you know how this show works, and if you don't, if you're a first-time viewer, thank you, or listener, because this one's going on iTunes and Stitcher. So the way it works is simple. You send me a question, I'll give you an answer. If I don't know the answer, I bring on a guest like I am tomorrow with Darshan. We've got a lot of questions in store for him tomorrow. And you guys are almost sending these questions to me in real time. I mean, I'm not recording these videos live. They're not streaming live, but I'm getting emails constantly, text all the time, Cyberdust, Facebook messages, LinkedIn messages, constantly. So I really appreciate it. And this video, this is going to be like a 20-minute video or so. I'm going to be talking about 2015 and how to accomplish your goals for 2015. This seems to be the time of the year where we start planning our resolutions, and a lot of you have already planned your resolutions. A lot of you guys are considering becoming CRAs. A lot of you guys have been watching and have been interested in getting involved in the research industry. A lot of you guys are thinking about starting your own research clinic. A lot of you guys are thinking about starting your own CRO, your own SMO, and I've discussed all these topics in the past, but there's never enough. There's never only one way to do it. I'm constantly evolving, constantly finding new strategies, and I'm going to be sharing some of those on this show with you. Another goal is getting more studies. That should be one of your goals every year. But I know a lot of you guys are expecting an increase in studies coming forward, and I think that is true. We're going to be seeing I'm seeing a lot of surveys already, more than usual, from sponsors, at least more than usual in the context of the last year and a half. So we haven't seen that many studies in 2014. I think we can all agree that study supply was relatively low compared to other years. I'm starting to see an uptick in that, and that's positive for 2015 for those of you in this industry. Again, I'm getting a lot of surveys. I've never paid a bill with a survey, so these have not materialized into actual studies yet. So stay tuned for more on that next year as I do more of these videos. And I really have so many plans for next year for my YouTube channel, for Instagram, LinkedIn group. So it's going to be awesome. So let's get right into your questions and your resolutions for the new year in clinical research. So the first one is, a lot of you guys are emailing me about how to be a CRA. And I just did a video with a guy who I recommended that he go out and become an intern for research clinics because he had zero experience in clinical trials. So it used to be true, just as little as 2 years ago, CRO would hire you if you had a relevant college education, usually a bachelor's of science in some health-related field, like biology, molecular biology, chemistry, and some CROs would be okay with not having any research experience. That was okay a couple years ago. It's no longer okay right now. You need, and I've heard from several sources, even at the CROs that used to have these less stringent requirements for entry-level CRAs, now you need at least, in addition to the education and the college background, you need at least 2 years of study coordinating experience or monitoring experience. Now, the study coordinating experience, there is a lot of gray area there because you could be a research assistant and it can still qualify as long as you're a backup coordinator. There's a lot of gray area here. The bottom line is, if you want to improve your chances, you need to get more studies listed on your CV. And the only way to do that, you might get lucky and get hired at a research clinic to be a study coordinator or a research assistant, because they would hire people. I hire people with no experience and train them. I've talked about that before on this podcast, where if you have a good system in place, you can bring in really smart people, really determined people, really good people, and teach them how to be a coordinator in about 3 months. And in about a year, according to my data and my metrics internally, in about a year, that individual, if you pick the right one, should be up and running as a full-fledged study coordinator, handling any issue that comes their way. So it's a good way for research sites on a bootstrap budget to save money, provided you have the right team in place. So you can't just have a bunch of people with no experience on your team. You need to surround these people with zero experience with very experienced people around them, and then just rinse and repeat this process. So you might get lucky and get hired as a study coordinator or research assistant, but chances are, because we're talking about the study supply and how it's low, that hasn't been the case, at least this year. Now, with the recent uptick in studies, I think more sites will start hiring. I know some of mine already have that worked into their budgets for 2015. But nevertheless, if you're a real hustler and you really are determined to do this, and it doesn't matter what age you are, of course everyone has different priorities, you might have a family. My suggestion was, and those of you hardcore fans who watch every video know, my suggestion to him was to intern at a site for 3 to 6 months, so offer an unpaid internship. And I've done this, I've given this advice to various people throughout the country these last few years, and it's worked out well for them, for the most part. So it actually has not failed anyone yet. People have either gotten hired or they got the necessary experience and became CRAs. I haven't heard from anyone who did this and then quit so far. That could be that they're angry at me and they don't want to email me again because they hate me so much. That's very possible. But I think it's a good strategy nonetheless. Find a research clinic in your area. Offer them unpaid internship. Get as many studies, so get on every delegation of duties log. You're going to learn the protocols. As soon as you get on the delegation of duty log, add that protocol to your CV. And it doesn't matter how to format your CV. There's really no right or wrong way, except sponsors generally don't like that you put the name of the investigational product on your CV. So you can just put the protocol number and the blurb and X out the IP name, investigational product name. So if there's an investigational product, instead of writing the investigational product on there, you put XXXX. I think 4X is appropriate. 3X's, you don't want to send the wrong signals to people. So that's what I would do with each protocol, okay? And however you format your CV, keep it consistent. So if you put only the protocol number and the indication, you want to do that for all your studies. If you put the protocol blurb, which is like a paragraph explaining what the protocol is all about, then you want to keep that consistent. So I guarantee you, if you do this internship and you really prove that you're providing value, and again, my whole hypothesis here, at least for the time being, is provide value up front. Provide so much value up front that they need you, or they see your value, and then they start paying you for it. They feel okay, and they can justify compensating you and hiring you as an actual employee. So after about 3 to 6 months, if you do really well, you should get hired. If not, at this point you already have some experience, so you can start applying at other clinics in your area, because hey, guess what? Now you have experience and your CV proves it. I wouldn't start applying to be a CRA yet, although you certainly can. If they say 2 years, wait 2 years. I mean, you can start applying after 1.5 years, but you don't want to apply after 6 months. Okay, so you want to have somewhere near 2 years on your resume before you apply as a CRA. Now, I say apply to be a CRA because these things change, these things are dynamic, and like I said, if CROs are going to start getting busier in 2015, they might loosen up their guidelines a bit, although I'm not seeing that as a trend, but it is a possibility. So right here, I mean, this is like kind of where you have to use your judgment and make your decision as to when you should start applying for that CRA job, because if you apply too soon, you're not going to get hired, and then you can't just apply again because they're going to do some cross-references and see that you already applied, and they're not even going to give your resume another look. So it is a little bit of a timing game, but pay attention to the supply and demand of the market. Pay attention to my blog and my videos, and you'll get a good sense of that. And just email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll give you some advice, free advice. That's what I do. So that's how I would become a CRA. Now, for those of you already in business, okay, maybe you're already a coordinator. Maybe you are a CRA. There's so many people I've been talking to just in this last 2 weeks. People who are making their plans for 2015. So I've talked to CRAs, I've talked to project managers, I've talked to site directors, study coordinators, all who want to go out and start their own clinics. And here's what I have to say to you. First of all, I applaud you for being an entrepreneur. We need more entrepreneurs in this country. But you have to really be willing to sacrifice, and you have to really be willing to face failure, okay? Look it right in its eyes and still not be scared, because there's a reason why, I forgot what the actual stat was, but something like 90% of businesses fail after 10 years or 5 years. It's something ridiculous. We've all heard the stats. There's a reason for that, and it's because you don't want to experience your first difficulty as an entrepreneur and then run back and look for a job. That's not, you want to get through, you want to have enough confidence, cash flow, and if you don't have cash flow yet because you're not making money from the studies, enough of a cash cushion and enough studies coming in to where you can survive these first couple of onslaughts that you're going to face, because opening any business, much less a clinical research company, is full of challenges, and it's filled with pitfalls where you can fail. I wouldn't say it's designed for you to fail, because that's not true, but it's very, very likely that you will fail. So make sure you understand what you're going to get into before you get into it. The worst thing you can do is go into it halfway, and then as soon as it gets tough, you stop and you go looking for another job because you can't hack it. You want to really make sure that you're okay up here mentally before you actually start the research company. And if you need help, email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I partner with sites all the time, all across the country. I'll let you know about some of the services we provide. But be ready. Make sure that your mindset is the right one for an entrepreneur. And that leads me into my next topic, which is how to get more studies. So you can want to start a clinic, you can want to start your own company, you can have a nice mission statement, a nice, I forgot what it's called, mission statement or vision statement, whatever it is. Those things are like a bunch of baloney, in my opinion. What you really need in this industry, if you're running a research site, is a constant stream of studies coming your way. If you don't have studies, and I don't mean surveys either. Again, I've never paid a bill with a survey before. I've never called my bank and said, hey, I'm going to pay my bill with this survey. Okay, I just filled out a link on SurveyMonkey. No, but get as many links as you can, fill out as many surveys as you can, get as many CDAs as you can, because it's all a numbers game, and if you do enough of them, you're going to get studies. I had a suggestion, and I'm going to try to do this once a month, where I go on clinicaltrials.gov, because it's basically free money. Clinicaltrials.gov is free money. I work in the real estate industry, and people would be dying in that industry. They would be fighting each other for access to clinicaltrials.gov if it was available in the real estate industry. I mean, you're getting free leads all the time, constantly updated, and a lot of people are using it, but not enough. I mean, people are still complaining that there's not enough studies. Are you sending out 100 emails every month from clinicaltrials.gov? I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to get at least one study, or at least a CDA or a survey link. At least one, okay? You'll probably get closer to 10. So if you do that every month, this is what I think a lot of people are actually missing when they want to become business owners in any industry. But in research too, I've actually seen it a lot, is they think that because they know how to be a good coordinator or they know how to run a clinic, that they can be a good business person, and that's often the opposite. Okay, so you need to have goals, you need to have the right mindset, you need to make sure that you have a salesman or woman inside you, and it might be buried deep inside you. And I know in our industry, because we're doing so many other things, business development usually takes a backseat. But guess what? If you keep pushing it to the backseat too long, you're not gonna have a business to run anymore. You're not gonna have studies to conduct. So go on clinicaltrials.gov, send 100 emails from new contacts you get on clinicaltrials.gov every month. I'm gonna start in January. If you actually send me proof that you do this, I'll send you one of my Clinical Trial Guru hoodies that I have. Okay, not the t-shirt, the hoodies. Those are like 40 bucks. Okay, so this leads me to my next question because I'm running out of time here. But I want to recommend some really good books. One really good book for everybody, and then one book for people who are thinking about being a research clinic owner. Okay, and I get nothing out of these books. I didn't write them. I wish I did, but I didn't. The first one is Influence. Okay, I talked about it like probably 3 or 4 times on the show. It is a book written by a professor from ASU, my hated rival. This is how much I like this book, okay, and I think it's important. I'm recommending a book written by someone from ASU when I went to U of A. So it's called Influence, and it talks about 7 things that trigger action in human beings. So first, it talks about seven tactics and strategies that marketers use to influence people's behavior. And then it talks about those very same 7 things and how you can defend yourself from them. So it's good for everybody. If you're a marketer like me, you're looking at him, or a consumer or a customer. It's good for everybody. That's why I recommend it for absolutely everybody. And influence is not just about getting people to buy something or sell something. Influence could be convincing the person who's sitting right in front of you and looking you in your eye that you are good to be an intern for their company, or that you are a good fit to be an employee, or that you will make a good CRA. That's influence too. Influence is everything. It's so important. The next book I'm recommending specifically for new business owners or people who are very serious about starting a research company in 2015. It's called Ink and Grow Rich. So not Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is also a very good book. Ink and Grow Rich, as in INC, as in incorporation. So Ink and Grow Rich, it talks about the value of having a corporation. It talks about the corporate veil and how having a corporation can shelter you and protect you and your personal assets from the outside world, because as soon as you get into business, it's battle, and you better be ready for that battle. And if you're not ready, someone's going to run right over you and go on to the next person. Because think of it like a football game, okay? It's nice to be on the sidelines and watch. It's nice to be a commentator in the booth and talk about the plays and look at the replays and start circling players on there and drawing their routes that they're running. It's a whole lot different if you're on that field and a linebacker is coming at you and is ready to knock you out, okay? And that's the metaphor I use for being a study coordinator or a site director working for someone else, and then being a business person yourself owning your own clinic. So you got to be smart about it. Ink and Grow Rich is one of the best books I've ever read when it comes to structuring your business for any industry, but for clinical research especially. We don't learn enough about business in our industry, and that's one of the reasons why my blog is so popular. So anyways, those are the two books I recommend. That was my some advice for 2014, the end of 2014, going on 2015, how to get hired as a CRA or a study coordinator, and then how to start your own research clinic. So stay tuned for tomorrow's podcast too with our Sean, and I will get back to all of you guys. Have a happy, safe holidays and a very good 2015. I look forward to hearing from each and every single one of you. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.